here's the second part of what we need to be able to do. So again, I'm going to bring up my magic pen for just a little bit as I'm reading. So rearranging equations. As I said, we did this last unit. Some of you are actually very good at it. I was quite impressed. So if you want to graph an equation that is not in the form y equals mx plus b, you can rearrange the equation. And if they don't tell you which way you want to do it, um, if it looks like it's easy to rearrange, then that might be your best bet. So example, rearrange the following equations into the slope-intercept form. So what they mean by slope-intercept form is the y equals mx plus b. So that's the slope-intercept. Okay, so here's our first example. It says 3x minus 4y equals 12. So what we want to do is we want to get all the y's to one side and the x's to the other side. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the magic pen, and I'm actually going to switch to blue this time. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we have y on the left side already, so we're going to leave it alone. So I'm going to subtract the 3x from both sides. So it's very similar to what we did last unit. So when I subtract it from both sides, what I'm left with then on this side, watch your signs, I still have a negative 4y equals, and I'm going to put the negative 3x before my positive 12. Now the next step I need to do is I need to get rid of that negative 4. So what I need to do is I need to divide everything by negative 4. So every single term, and I'm just going to do it like this, every single term, and you'll see in a moment why I'm doing that. So what we end up with on the left-hand side, the 4's are canceling out for us, and we're left just with our y. And here we have negative 3 over negative 4. So that's going to be a positive number. And I'm going to leave it as 3/4, 3 over 4. The reason being that's our slope. And it's easier to graph if it's in that form and not a decimal. So that's one reason why we don't want to switch to decimals. The next one is a positive 12 divided by a negative 4. So my answer then is going to be a negative 3. Okay, so now we have it in the form that we want. We have it in y equals mx plus b. So we can see the slope and we can see the y-intercept. And we know from previous day that that's easy to graph when it's in that form. Now let's look at the next one. This one, you can see that it has all three terms on the left-hand side. Now, if you look over here, it's the same equation that I'm working with. Now remember the problem we had when we found intercepts is we ended up with this fraction for our y-intercept. Well, that might still be the case here, but let's find out. Okay, so because everything's over here, I'm going to actually subtract 5y from both sides. And the reason being, I only have to move one thing. Okay, so now I have left for myself is 4x, the 5y is gone, minus 8 equals negative 5. Now I'll be honest, I probably, if I was writing this line, I would see that I have negative 5 over here, and I probably would have just gone negative 5 equals 4x minus 8. Okay, and I would have saved myself just a little bit of work. Okay, because it's just taking the equation and flipping it around. Okay, now all I need to do is I need to get rid of that negative 5, and the way that we do that is we're going to divide everything by negative 5. So the x term by negative 5 and the y-intercept term by negative 5. And now we're going to simplify. Again, we end up that our 5's are canceling out for us. Okay, so they're gone. And what we're left with is our y equals, we're going to leave this as negative 4/5, and it doesn't matter where you put the negative, but remember there's only one of them, and I often like putting it closer to the top so I don't forget it. Again, I have two negatives. That's going to be a positive 8/5. Now you can see By doing it this way, we can see here that our b value, our y-intercept, is 8/5. And if you look back at what we did when we found our intercepts, was it 8/5? Well, let's go down and see. Yes, it was 8/5. We ended up with the same number. Okay, so obviously you're not going to check by doing intercepts and then check by rearranging the equation. You're going to do one or the other. But you can see that it is true, you get the exact same thing. Okay, so you have some work in your textbook to do. Questions 23 to 28 are more of a thinking type question. Okay, it's just not really straightforward, but you have the skills in order to solve them. Okay, so have some mathematical fun tomorrow.